Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Journey into Comics with your hosts, Nate Phillips and Brandon Stone.
I am a god, you dull creature.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Journey into Comics. I'm Nate.
Oh, my cue. I'm Brando.
Yes, he got it. Okay. So, Brando, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, it's going good, man.
Yeah, it's a big difference from the last time we recorded a show. Last time we recorded a show, it was shitty and winter.
Oh, man, it's almost like we moved to a different location.
I know.
It's how drastic it actually is. It's pretty crazy.
Does that make us 90 that we always talk about the weather?
Dude, all right. Okay, number one, there's no just hiding this fact. You and I are getting older.
Yeah, right?
And so it just, as you get older, the reason why you worry about the weather is because you've actually got to go out in it.
Dude, that's very true. Because, you don't really ever think about it like that. Like, as a kid, when your parents decide it's time to go out, that's when it's time to go out.
Exactly.
But when it's you and it's like, I have to go to the grocery store and I need to get eggs and I need to fucking shovel the drive, which I haven't even done yet. So it's like, okay, well, now I got to start with the shoveling. Well, better layer up, and that takes another 20 minutes. It's the worst process. I hate the winter. I am so glad that we are out of it and that the weather is nice and it's a 60-degree day, roughly, give or take here. And
Dude, I would take 40 and, chilly just to be away from, the sub-zero temperatures and all that snowfall. I enjoy a little bit of snowfall. I don't enjoy that much snowfall.
Yeah, it gets to a point when you know that when you go out and when you see the first snow of the year, you're like, oh, it's snowing. Holy shit, we're actually at the point where it's snowing. And then you go to the point where it's like, okay, now we've got some accumulative snow. And that was the first accumulative snow. Hopefully we get out of this soon. And then there comes a point where you walk out and you're like, can it fucking stop snowing, please?
And the best thing is that while it's so nice outside and we could be outside grilling or, running our errands or just enjoying it, we're inside standing in front of a microphone recording a show.
Look, people like to hear us talk.
I know they do. And
I enjoy that they enjoy us talking. It's this weird thing, I guess.
But that's that's what I'm getting to. It's almost like we're the opposite of the postman. It's like rain, sleet, or snow. We're going to be inside recording a podcast.
Exactly, right? I don't care if it's... Well, you know what? I will say, if it was 85 degrees outside and all of a sudden I looked out and it was like, oh shit, a pool magically appeared. And then I looked outside and it was like, oh shit, 12 sexy ladies just magically appeared. I don't know, man. I think that I'd be like, Brandon, can you take a solo cast this week? Because I'll send you a picture. I gotta go. But I'm just glad that I'm glad that we're at springtime now. It makes traveling easier. We'll talk about traveling later because we got some big news for you folks. But we're gonna get right into a bunch of topics today, Brando. I am searching the internet and I'm reading all my topics, and I come across all this news that after Convergence, which is the DC event that's going to be happening this summer, all of the new 52 superheroes will have different costumes, and maybe not all new 52 superheroes will even make it out of Convergence.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I'm like, oh, that's kind of exciting. Whatever. The first two that they tease were Wonder Woman and Superman. What did you think of Wonder Woman and Superman?
The Wonder Woman, she's all kind of armored up. She's got these blades on her arm. It kind of reminded me of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
It's not like a rip off or anything, but it's just kind of where my mind went when I saw it. But for Superman, it's almost like he could be a selectable player for Streets of Rage.
Yeah, it was like T-shirt Kent.
Yes, and it's like, all right, the whole mythos of Superman is that he's supposed to be hey, here's me in regular clothes with glasses. Here, let me take those glasses off and put on this suit. Oh, okay, now, and then let me curl my hair. Now I don't know who he is. Now he's just here, let me take off my shirt, my glasses.
Fuck it.
And I mean, I like the look. I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely a kind of a cool take. The other ones that I've seen, I definitely am kind of curious about, like the Green Lanterns.
Green Lantern looked kind of interesting and a little bit different. He looks kind of like almost like a warrior. He was kind of, like a sleek cyborgish. I don't know how to describe what I saw, but I'm doing a very piss poor job apparently. But I liked his look. I did. I liked how he looked with his new lantern ring. I also didn't think the Flash looked that bad. Not that they made a drastic change to how the Flash looked.
Yeah, no.
And the same with Green Arrow. But really,
I think you and me are going to the same spot here.
and I know Batman is not a goddamn robot with
No.
bunny ears.
Well, see, I don't know what the picture that you saw, because the picture that I'm seeing here, the article that I found that when I looked this up just to see them in front of me while we're talking about this is on IGN. He's holding a gun, a smoking gun.
What?
Yes.
Oh, now I got to go back and look at it a second time.
Look at that. He's okay. So he's got like these shoulder pads that kind of look like they could be either rockets or I don't know if like they're supposed to be like jets. I don't know what they are.
He kind of does look like War Machine.
Yeah. Yes. And it just okay. The idea of Batman wearing like a mechanical suit to enhance his power, that's not a new thing. In fact, if you've ever seen, now from my own take, if you've ever seen Batman Beyond, there was a big armored suit that he wore, but it was too stressful on his heart. And there's actually an episode where he actually puts that on to fight, and does help the new Batman Terry McGinnis out a little bit. But so that's nothing new. But there is for me, okay, as a huge Batman fan, there's just something seriously wrong seeing him holding a gun. Now,
Well, I mean, for those of you who don't know or who aren't in the loop, the last time that it was, my words are getting away from me. The first time the Batman, see, I can't do it. My brain is not letting me do it, but Detective Comics 27 was, I do believe, the final time we see Batman using a gun as a part of his crime fighting. Okay? And that was, Detective Comics 27 was like, maybe probably like 1941. So,
to me, over the last period, and of course I know, as you said, they actually had him using a gun early on, but over time, it's pretty much been established that character does not use guns. He does not kill. And that's the Batman that I have accepted into my heart and soul. He does not carry like a gun or anything, and I don't know. There's just something a little like disheartening about seeing him hold a gun. It doesn't sit right with me. To me, it just seems like the day that Batman has to use a gun is the day that Batman's dead. It's like it doesn't. His parents were murdered with a gun, and him using a gun. That to me, that's sort of like it goes against what he is about. It's like he cannot become on the same lines of the same people that killed his parents.
no, he's not.
He has to be better than that.
Yeah, he does have to be better than that. One thing I just thought of, it's kind of similar. During the Nightfall storyline, Batman Nightfall, which was when Bane broke Batman's back.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Night Quest, Nightfall, all this blah, blah, blah. There was a new Batsuit that was introduced that kind of has the giant ear thing going on. So I looked it up, and it isn't quite what I thought it was going to be, so I'm not going to speculate that it's Nightfall. It'd be cool if it was Nightfall, but I don't think that would be, the right form of the Batsuit. I think this suit might be almost like Frank Miller's alternate suit to fight Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is something that Bruce has to have because there is somebody who he can't beat with traditional means, an otherworldly being or something of that nature, and this isn't what he's going to look like in the entire comic. Rather, he'll look like this just in a few instances, and they're teasing it because you know what they did? they released this image, and it was just like they thought it was no big deal, but it drew a lot of press because it was like, whoa, that doesn't look like Batman.
Yeah.
No cape, no cowl. He is the cape and the cowl. You cannot take away his cape and his cowl.
You know, and of course, I brought up Batman Beyond, and they actually did take away the cape for Batman Beyond. And I was kind of okay with that because, to me, that's like a different take on the character. It's not the traditional Bruce Wayne character. If it's another character, you can sort of toy around with the idea of what Batman is like in the future. And I'm okay with that. But in the traditional sense, I'm with you. I mean, that's the iconic look of the character, you know?
I mean, it is. You imagine what, Mr. Michael Keaton would look like.
I'm Batman.
If he wore that suit that they're teasing.
Mm-hmm.
He would look goofy as hell.
I'm actually going to send you a copy of this picture.
Okay.
If I can. Maybe I'll just send a URL. I'm actually going to send it to you because I want you to see what I was talking about from Batman Beyond with the armor.
Okay.
And it's a little bit more traditional. So, sent.
Receiving. That sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Wow. Yeah.
I always get myself, don't I? Oh, that sounds wrong. Fuck. I cannot win. I'm looking it up. It's happening. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, he's got like bat armor.
Yeah, it's essentially armor to help him out. And as Bruce got older, he couldn't keep up.
He has hand shields.
Yeah.
That's cool. Hand shields
Yeah.
are cool.
So, I mean, I'm down with armor. But as you said, the image they released, it could just be like a special suit that he wears some of the time. And his is the only one that I really have a problem with. I don't really have a problem with the other ones. I did, while we were talking about this, I did see a comment of down below from the article that I'm reading. It says they better have a good explanation of why they're making Superman look like the Punisher.
Yes. That is a very good parallel to have drawn, comment person from that article. So, I do. Part of me thinks that they just did it kind of as a publicity stunt because now all eyes are on Convergence and Batman and where do they go from here and why does he look like that? So we'll see. We'll see what they do. It's DC, and DC tends to never stick to the plan, but maybe they do have a plan, and we're just going to have to wait and see it. It is, in fact, what it is, Mr. Brando. Breath. I was taking a real breath, but I had to say it for some reason. So, we're talking about costumes and things. So we might as well just continue along the path. We haven't yet covered anything about this show on our podcast, so I think it's time we introduce it. CBS, I think the start of next year, or the end of this year, maybe you can look that up, will be releasing Supergirl as a television series. And they did finally release the first teaser picture with the chick that's playing Supergirl in the Supergirl outfit. And like I told you, I mean, it looks like the Supergirl costume.
Yeah, to me, it kind of looked like a harken back to the old Dean Cain outfit from the Superman show that aired in the mid '90s on ABC.
Yeah, you know what's weird about that?
Is he actually in the show? Yeah, right.
He is in the show, and the chick that played the other Supergirl, she's also in this show, and they are rumored to be Supergirl's parents. They're playing the role of her parents.
That'd be cool. I like when shows do that, like what they did with the Flash and everything.
Yeah, the Flash has been just spot on with bringing people from the '90s CBS show. So let's see, what is this girl's name? This is not the article I even wanted to find. What the hell? How does this happen? Brandon, how does this happen? I clicked on one article that was talking about her costume and another article about who is the young version of this character popped up. It has nothing to do with the costume. But it's
actually...
Melissa Benoist?
Yes.
I think is how you say her name.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it as well. Calista Flockhart's in it as well.
Yeah.
But the show is slated to premiere probably this fall, the 2015 to 16 television season.
Okay, so it'll be on the same kick as season 4 of Arrow and season 2 of The Flash. That'll be nice.
As well as on the same beat as Gotham as well.
Oh, Gotham season 2, it's going to be great. I don't know if you've caught up yet on Gotham, but you really should.
Well, the major thing that I have, and it's not against the show. I'm not making excuses, but when I go to watch the show, and sometimes my wife, if she's not into it, then that's fine. I can watch it by myself. But when she starts getting interested in it, then we have to find time to watch it together. Because I don't want to go ahead, I don't want her to go ahead. So we try to enjoy the show together, and sometimes that's hard to coordinate. Sometimes we go off on a different show. Like we've been really watching House of Cards lately. So, if Gotham is in the plans, I'm pretty much after House of Cards. I'm getting caught up on Gotham.
All right. So, Gotham, like I said, it's great, and you're gonna be like, heck yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Love this show.
Well, I haven't been spoiling myself, but I definitely have been keeping up on news of the show. So,
all right, that's nice. So Brandon, let's I don't know how we want to do this, man. Our next thing we want to talk about, and we didn't really plan, folks. We don't plan things. Am I right, Brando? Do we plan? Not really.
Not really. I mean, this is a topic that I really wanted to talk about because it's something that's kind of been on my mind lately, and you kind of mentioned this earlier off the air as we were just kind of catching up. And the fact is that one of the reasons why I came on this show to begin with was because I became a collector.
Hell yeah.
And that's something that, that you started to – we started kind of collecting at around the same time, sort of. But it was just two different, facets. You were comics and I got into video games. But I just kind of wanted to dive into the idea of collecting and the mindset. It's – because I don't know about you, and because I don't collect comics, so I'm not exactly into tune with how, I know that you went back and you collected a lot of old ones, right?
I have a shit ton of old comics. That is correct.
Now, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I can pretty much assume that you went on comic hunts. You went to places and you hunted down stuff.
Oh yeah, you can't. I mean, that's the thrill of the hunt, man.
Exactly. Okay. So, do you find that addicting?
The chase?
The chase. It's not the unknown. It's, hey, let's go to this store and let's go see what we get. And then you get to root around and just hunt to find something that you want.
I mean, dude, that's the best part of collecting. It's the high you get when, you don't get high, but you could, but it's the high you get when you're in your car and you're driving to wherever the comic book store is. And let's say, okay, I'll just take you back a little bit. We used to do trips where, when I worked at Horseshoe still, we would get together, Sarah's dad, myself, and sometimes Sarah's brother on a Tuesday, and we would start local. We'd go to the 2 local shops, then we'd travel into the city and hit 4 or 5 shops, traffic depending or whatever. And it was the thrill of the hunt, and it was like, what are we going to get here? Are we going to end up with anything good? Are we going to walk out empty-handed? Are we going to hear a crazy story, which we did? We heard this one comic shop owner that we went to. We go into his place. I got a really awesome Alex Ross variant cover for The Amazing Spider-Man while we were there.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was signed by Alex Ross and everything. It's super sick. I'll show you.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's Green Goblin. It's badass. So we go in there, and everything's cool and kosher, and this guy's really weird, and he's kind of standoffish, and then he kind of starts to open up, and he's like, yeah, I was in here one night, and this feller came in here with a gun, pointed it right at me, so I reached in my desk and I shot him in the fucking head where you're standing.
What?
Yes, and he had the news article and everything. This dude tried to rob him at 11 o'clock at night at his comic store, pulled a gun on him, and in self-defense he blew the dude's head off.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he's like, here's the newspaper article and everything. I was like, what? Who does that? Who does that? Why would you? You're crazy, man. So, yeah, and crazy stories like that are... one thing with comics, man, is sometimes with variants and stuff, you get fucked and you're not going to find them. And sometimes you'll walk into a shop and you're certain you'll never see this variant. And oh my God, it's staring you right in the face. And you're just whoa, how do I even respond to this? Is this real life?
Yeah, okay. I mean, and the thing is that with video games, sometimes I feel like video games can be even more of a crapshoot.
Oh, especially in the current society that we live in, yeah.
I mean, because it all depends on what you're looking for. But I went about a month ago now on another big game hunt, and I went with a sizable chunk of change, and I go into my first place, and sitting there is a reproduction cart for Mega Man: The Wily Wars on Sega Genesis, and I just stared at that thing, going, like, what? I knew what it was. It was obvious that it was a reproduction cart, but I never thought I'd ever see that there. The store that I go to, I have not seen any other reproduction carts there, so I didn't even know that they bought them. But it's just for the market, because you never know what they're going to have, when they're going to have it, and how long they're going to have it. Because on that day, I went in and I saw Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo. And I wanted it, but I knew that my buddy might be selling it, and I couldn't get a hold of him. So I'm like, I'll wait to see if he's going to sell it. Then he said he's not going to sell it. So I'm like, well, crap, I missed my opportunity, because it always seems like that damn game is always at my fingertips when I don't have the money. And I went back and it was still there. And that really surprised me that it was still there, because usually a game like that doesn't last very long in this store. But it's always variable. It's always just random. I never know. I never go in thinking, oh, I'm going to find this today. No, I go in hoping that I'm going to find it. And it's all a matter of, do you spend your money now on something else that you find there, or do you wait to try and find it? Because there was a time where, and I must have hunted this game for half a year, and that was Shenmue, like on the Dreamcast. And I'd seen it before around, I've seen it in stores and whatnot before I actually started collecting. And all of a sudden I start collecting. I'm like, I want that game now. I can't find it anywhere.
Of course.
So it actually got to a point where I paid pretty much the going price for it and got it off of Amazon. So I didn't really, I didn't save any money on it, but I didn't spend any more on it. But that's another thing that I kind of wanted to bring up here is, what do you consider to be an okay price to pay for something that you want? Because like you with collecting comics, I'm sure that you have a pretty rough idea of what a certain comic costs or goes for.
Yeah, you have to be aware. The way I kind of look at it is, it's very much a tiered system.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are high quality books out there that go for massive amounts of money. Those are not the books I can afford. That's not any slight against me or what I do in life. It's not. It's just a fact. I don't have $1.2 million to buy an Action Comics #1. I don't have the kind of couple $1,000s to buy an Amazing Spider-Man #1. It's just, that's not the case. I would say, to me, an acceptable price, the most that I'm willing to pay or go in towards, because this is a kind of a dual collection that is going on here, I'd say like $300 is the max. Anything over $3, and I can't pull the trigger on something like that, Right.
Well, see, the other thing for me is that, sometimes I do overpay for stuff that I want, and there's a certain there are a couple factors that go into that. There's the want, there's the how much I want a product, and there's the it's right there in front of you, you can have it, and then there's how much more are they asking for it based on how much it goes for. So if it's outrageous, to me that's also variable for me in games, and that's sort of what I'm kind of talking about here. Is that mean you collect two different things, and the little minutia, if you will, booyah, about kind of going into how these two things, they're so drastically different, because as you said, there's a tiered system of, here's your comic #1, Slugman, and then you've got, I just made that up, by the way. That's going to be a Journey into Comics exclusive. Slugman.
Yes.
He'll
get there eventually.
#1 Slugman, in pristine condition is going to cost you this, but in fair condition is going to cost you this. And games, it could sort of go that way. But generally, what I consider it is there's 3 tiers. There's loose cart or loose disc. Then there's complete, which has the entire packaging and manual, whether that's in cart for the box or CD with the case, and then there's brand new sealed.
Yep.
To me, those are the only 3 that I even look at. It's okay, but then the decision to buy a cartridge or anything else is based on the actual quality of it. It's like, and it's not something that's like documented or anything like that. It's just personal preference. It's like, am I going to pay $30 for this cartridge with a ripped label? No, not now. Because I know I could probably find one in better condition for the same price.
Yeah.
So
I know there's another. Oh, you go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, man, you're fine. But when you have like a disc-based thing, it's like I can get another case, I can get another label. Sometimes that's acceptable to me if the price is right, because it's the disc that I'm worried about more than I am. I mean, as a collector, you want it to be as complete as possible, but you can attain that, with the label on a cartridge. If it's ripped, it's ripped.
Exactly.
That's harder to replace. But no, with this whole kind of topic, there's a certain high, but there's also like a lot of lows. It's like you go out and you find nothing. You go out and you find nothing. You go out and you find nothing. And then there's also and here's what I wanted to ask you, because you kind of brought this up earlier. Do you ever get sort of like complacent?
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, you go to the same shops, and this is a kind of a larger problem with comic shops, more than you'd realize, is that people aren't selling their collections nearly like people sell their game collections.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, to continue, this is going to I'm going to kind of go wide left real quick, make a little tangent topic thing that still involves what we're talking about, and then pull it right back in. So, one thing I noticed that's different between your kind of collecting and my kind of collecting, you have to wade through a lot more shit. Because every game store accepts almost every fucking game. Which means you walk into a disc replay, and they have 906 goddamn copies of motherfucking Madden NFL 2007. And that's an annoyance, more than anything. Because it's taking up space, it's making you not be able to focus, even if maybe you're not even looking at Xbox games, but you have to go past the Xbox games to get to where you're actually really trying to look. As to where with comics, like I've said before, my shops and all the shops of people who are intelligent and know how to run comic book shops, if people bring in shit that's not worth money, they say, sorry, this isn't worth money, turn around and go home. And that's the end of the story. They don't do anything else, nothing else happens.
Yeah.
So it's like you're stuck with this weird situation where there might be 704 copies of whatever game on N64, and then you got whatever game on this system. The next thing you know, you're looking in the NES case, and they have a lot of $1 games. Well, maybe they could have afforded a bigger, higher-end item if they wouldn't have spent all their money on fucking Madden.
Well, yeah, see, a lot of the stores that I go to, they have a limit on what they'll buy of a certain thing. Like, they have an overstock thing.
Oh, nice.
And it's a mixture of if they have too many of it or if it doesn't sell. So it's kind of the same, but it's not as maybe as strict or stringent maybe as some of your shops. Because there was a game that I had on the 360, I wanted to say, and I got it for pretty cheap. And I think you remember this game. It was called Dark Sector.
I have 2 copies of Dark Sector.
Well, good luck getting rid of them because no one will take them.
That's fine. I don't want anybody to take them. I like that game quite a bit.
Okay. Because when I was selling off a lot of my stuff before I started collecting, they wouldn't take the game. Nowhere would take that game.
Weird.
No one would take it, not even for $1, because they're like, it just does not sell, and we can't get rid of it. Like once we have it in the store, no one will buy it. And to me, yeah, it's not a bad game, but it was just I was kind of surprised that they wouldn't take it. But yet, so along those lines, as you said, they'll have like 10 copies of Madden, but Madden's going to sell. So you can sit there and you can have to wade through all these copies of Madden on the 360 or whatever you're going to buy it on. And mixed in with that, my eyes will just gloss over it. Maybe I won't see that one gem hidden in there with all those Maddens, depending on how they have it displayed, whether or not people have messed it up or not organized it correctly. But collecting, I'm getting very happy with where my collection is, even though there's a lot more games I want to go to until I feel like on a retro aspect that I'm done, that I'm complete. Because I'm not going for complete collections. I'm just going for games that I like and games I never got to play that are, critically acclaimed or anything like that. But I'm getting to a point where even now, and I'm a long ways from that, it's getting hard for me to want to keep going out every week because I feel like this area that I've been hunting it's like it doesn't change as often as I want it to.
It's tapped.
Yeah.
Well, I could maybe kind of give you a theory on what I would suggest to help quell your issue, but I also know how hard it is to not still by default go out and look anyways. But
yeah.
if you're that concerned with how tapped the area is and how dry it is on stuff, the ideal thing to do would be take a couple months worth of what you would have went out and spent, hold on to it, and come up here, and let's go into the city, or let's go around my place, and I'm sure you'll find more gold than you can even think about.
Of course, and and then the whole idea of talking about this topic, like the highs and lows, because there is such a high when you go out and you find something that you weren't expecting, but when you keep going week after week, and you're like, oh, nothing's changed. Oh, nothing's changed. Oh, nothing's changed. To me, that's very kind of depressing. And one reason why I wanted to shake it up and go to a couple stores I haven't gone to in a while, and I did yesterday. I went to a store I haven't gone to, and I found some stuff that I haven't been able to find. So I'll definitely take you up on that offer at some point.
No, I mean we'll be planning the time when you're going to come up here in the summer, I would assume.
Yeah.
So, highs and lows of collecting, there are quite a few, too, because there's something you didn't touch on. And this has happened to me before, and this is the only reason I'm touching on it, but damaged goods. And I'll take you on a little trip down memory lane. Sarah and I were rushing to go to Hoopston one weekend. This was a couple years ago. We're rushing to go to Hoopston. I look and I see, oh, shit, my comics have come in for the week. So I grab the box, I put it in the car, I go and I get my supplies so I can bag and board everything while I'm in Hoopston, and then come home and everything's done. I don't have to do any work. So we get home, it's raining. I trip. I dropped all my comics into a giant fucking puddle that I had just bought and had to rebuy the entire set of comics. Some of which were variants that I was very fortunate to actually repurchase. A lot of the stuff that was in that run was the Age of Ultron #1s that came out when that series was hot.
I had a similar issue just a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of funny that you bring that up because this game, thankfully, is not an expensive game. It's just a game that when I was hunting, saw for like $5, and you know what? I needed to complete my set, and that's Fable 3. So the copy of this game that I bought, and I got it from GameStop, but somebody else had bought it from Game Exchange. And Game Exchange, if you're listening, whoever is in charge of Game Exchange, I love your store, guys, but you put this sticker on the middle of it that says if you tamper with it, the full amount's going to be collected. First of all, I'd like you to. I don't know exactly how that works, but I hate you for it because it made me break my disc. Because, okay, I peeled the sticker off. And it leaves like a lot of residue. And I have Goo Gone. It's no big deal. It's coming off nicely. But then I go to take the disc out of the case, and the case grips onto it. Then want to let it go, and it cracks the case. Or I'm sorry, the disc. It cracks the disc.
Oh no!
And so there I am, just staring there at it, and like, you've got to be kidding me. So please, Game Exchange, and this is your loyal customer here, Brando from Journey into Comics. Why are you putting these stickers on your discs? Because if someone buys them used from you and then you take the sticker off, is it so if they trade it back to you, you know that it's been traded? How would you even know if they're able to get it off like me? If they're able to get all that off, I don't understand it. Because for serious collectors, there's some stuff that I can't get off my discs, like those old rental copies of games from like Video Zone or whatever that have a full plastic layer over the disc, and I don't want to bother taking all that crap off because I don't know if it's actually going to damage the disc or not.
Yeah, I know that.
But for that small little ring, it's like, what the hell? Come on, guys. But I had to rebuy that game.
That absolutely sucks.
The only bright side about it is that it was only $5, and it cost me another $5. But what if it had been? Oh, I don't know. Something a little bit more expensive, like I don't know, like a Mega Man Legends. I'd have been furious.
FF7.
FF7, I'd have been furious. But I mean, I take care of my FF7. But if I ever bought another copy of that for whatever reason, I'd be furious. It's like you said. There is something about this hobby that can make you want to just put nails like in your eyes. And that unfortunate circumstance made after I did that, I went right to bed. I was like, I can't handle the world right now because
fuck it, I'm done.
I'm done for today. And it wasn't even like I was having a bad day. That made me so mad.
Let's talk about this real quick because that's something I didn't even think about in collecting. Let's talk about stickers because, okay, here's one thing I love about GameStop. They've actually listened to people, and people said, look, you're fucking up our games and our game cases and our different things because you sticker these with these shitty stickers that rip the labels. And when we worked at GameStop, the only sticker that the cases got was a front price sticker that stuck on the plastic.
Yeah.
And then what we would do is we would keep the sticker that we printed on its print tab and put that in the sleeve, so you could take that out and it wasn't sticky. It was just sitting in the what do you call that? The edge of the case. Where we'd put it so that you could see it if it was spined out, So the spine would have a price and the front would have a price. Then certain GameStops decided that it would be awesome to actually put the stickers on the label itself.
Yes, I've actually had that issue with a few games that I bought. And
it started ruining things.
Thankfully, if you're careful with Goo Gone, you can get those off pretty easily without too much damage. The ones that really irritate me are the older, from like the early 2000s, from the kind of the GameCube era. This is why I remember it, because I had to clean a GameCube case where it was actually from an EB Games before they got purchased, or maybe before they actually just changed them all over to GameStop. That thing was covered with damn stickers. Oh, pre-owned, price, EB sticker, and it was all sorts of stickers. And I remember cursing at this damn thing, thinking that it's almost worth it to go buy like an extra case and just change everything out, because cleaning up this whole damn case is just taking so much time. Because even though, as I've said, that sometimes I'm willing to buy stuff if I have to print off my own labels or buy other labels, that's fine. But I want them looking as good as they can look on my shelf. I don't want to pull out a game and it has a price tag or EB tag or GameStop tag or anything. I'm pretty, it's like you. If you bought, a comic that had a price tag on it, now with you it might rip, but if there was a chance that you can get that off without damaging it, would you try to get it off?
A sticker on a comic? Are you
like
serious?
A price tag?
A price tag sticker on a comic? I would not. Okay, listen, seriously. Hear my words right now. I really don't care if, like, I walk into 10th Planet, they've got a first appearance of I don't know, fucking Green Goblin. Okay, that's Amazing Spider-Man 14. So they have Amazing Spider-Man 14, and it's, let's say, $175. That's really low, by the way. It's like an $800 book. So, it's $175. Okay, cool. And I'm getting ready to buy it, and I've decided that I'm going to purchase this thing, and then I look and I see that there's a sticker. I literally would walk up to the store owner, slap him in his dumb bitch face, and leave that place forever. Because why would you do that?
Right. Okay. But, I mean, you want your stuff to look as pristine as you can get. I mean, obviously, it's different with comics. It's going to be very difficult to get this stuff off of paper.
But, I mean, in the same token, and maybe I didn't fully explain the whole talk about stickers, but really, my pop vinyl collection has had problems with stickers, and I'm talking as much as yesterday. I had problems with stickers. We ended up getting Drax and Gamora for my pop collection, which now I have all 5 Guardians and now I have all the Age of Ultron pops, which look sick as fuck. So get Drax and Gamora, get home, and I'm like, oh, cool, they didn't sticker them. This is a great disc replay. They didn't sticker them. They have it built into their barcode system. Praise Jeebus. And then I looked on the bottom, and there were stickers, and they were not coming off. And I was like, are you really fucking kidding me right now? Like, I have to go through this?
Yeah, okay. The one thing that my disc replay does down here, and I love them for this, is that they don't actually anything like a pop. At least I haven't seen this in a pop, but on like a rare video game that has a label, anything, they'll actually print out their sticker because they know that their price stickers are horrible to get off, and they'll put it on like a Post-it note and stick the Post-it note on it.
That's super smart. Ugh. Why do they do that with their pops? And here's the problem I had with the pops having a sticker. There's a giant sign in disc replay that says, all pop vinyls $9.99 unless otherwise noted.
Well, I guess the sticker's there to otherwise note it.
But they were still $9.99. Fuck.
So they were they were not otherwise noted. They were just noted.
They were just noted. That is exactly it. Noted. So yeah, I hate stickers. It's highs and lows of collecting. I also hate. I have a copy. I think I know for a fact I have 2 copies of Final Fantasy VIII. One copy of Final Fantasy VIII has the letter P or what is it? It's P or D depending on how you have the disc turned. Someone wrote a lowercase p or d. I'm not sure which one it is. Like I said, depends on how the disc is turned in the case. So it's in red Sharpie, and I don't think I can get it off.
Oh, dude, man, there's some dude wrote in on my Final Fantasy Origin disc. He wrote his initials on it in ink with like a pen. And then there's another one. This guy must have went into this game exchange and just unloaded his RPG collection because I also bought the remake of Lunar for PSP. And this one is actually a replacement UMD case because I don't know if you know this, Nate, if you actually had a PSP, but man, okay. But the discs, I can't speak. The discs,
the dicks.
They're like little mini discs, and they're actually in like a protective case to kind of help prevent from scratches or anything like that. And this one is all clear, so it is a replacement one. And he scratched all over that on the front of it with his with his initials. So yes, that is something. I mean, those don't bug me as much, I guess, as like stupid stickers, but because you can't get it off, and it's like it's not like if I'm going in there to buy a game, it's like, hey, let me see that disc before before I buy it.
I do.
Okay. I mean, but that's the thing is that like if they only have one, it's like, here's my chance to get this at a good price.
Either I get it or I don't.
Either I get it or I don't, and that UMD thing can be replaced. I can't get that ink off of that disc, and I kind of like did a little bit of a light cleaning, but the problem is that when he wrote it, he kind of wrote it with ink, and it's still kind of like etched in to the plastic. So, guys, take care of your games, take care of your comics.
Yeah, and here's something I'm glad the modern society doesn't do, where we talked about writing on discs or dicks, depending on if you're Brandon. So back in the 70s and the 60s and stuff, people did write their name in comics. So it's actually not terrible if you get a comic that has someone's initials or name written in it. That's actually pretty standard in the older era of comics. Now, if you buy a newer comic and you get that, it usually really does decrease the value because it's like, hey, man, we all learned that collecting these things was much cooler than just destroying them. Have some fucking pride.
So, have you ever come across like a Slugman #1 and they not only have they written their name or initials in it, but they also kind of doubled it for their own personal like coloring book?
Not really. I mean, I will tell you, and this guy's probably like 80 years old now, so if you happen to stumble upon our podcast, 80-year-old guy, I'm sorry. But we have probably like 15 different Amazing Spider-Man books that were owned by Lloyd Sneed. And that's his name, Lloyd V. Sneed. V was his. So every book that we have has LVS, and a couple times instead of writing LVS, he wrote Lloyd V. Sneed.
That's an awesome name, Lloyd V. Sneed. I was just kind of wondering if anybody took it upon themselves to decide that in this issue of Amazing Spider-Man #2, that Peter Parker needed a mustache.
No, and it's interesting that you say that because a lot of shops won't take those if they're super defaced.
If they are, well, I guess that's good.
Because they know they'll. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm gonna give this guy $800 for his Amazing Spider-Man #2, and that's in bad condition because he drew all over it.
Hey man,
but but am I going to be able to sell that Amazing Spider-Man 2 for $1,200? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No one's ever walking in going, yeah, sure. I don't give a fuck about how destroyed it is inside. Let's go for it.
Somebody somewhere might pay that much to see all those Peter Parkers with mustaches.
True.
Somebody might,
True.
but that doesn't mean that they're in the area.
Very true. Very fucking.
Meanwhile, the new Peter Parker in the new Marvel Cinematic Universe should have a mustache.
We still don't know who that is. Hey, train, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, I live by the train track, so it will get loud here for a second. I will start a little short story because people will be able to hear me better than they'll probably be able to hear Brandon. I don't know. I'm just riffing. So, Brandon, I don't think that the train sound's going to affect us too much. If it gets too obnoxious for you, just let me know.
All right.
Last time we did a show together, I told you that I was pissed off at PlayStation Plus. You remember?
Yep.
And then, like a guy with a lot of dignity and gigantic balls, I decided that I was going to go ahead and just purchase 3 months of PS Plus. Whatever. It's fine. It's cool. So I bought the PS Plus 3-month thing. And I played Madden with my friends, kind of, because the internet connection kept kicking us off. So we'd get like halfway through the game and then it'd stop. So no one's officially won or lost anything yet. Damn it. Anyways, first thing that I check out is, hey, every time you get PS Plus, if you sign up for PS Plus, they have free games every month. Wonder what free games are out. Lucky for me, I stumbled upon this game called Counter Spy. Have you dabbled in Counter Spy yet?
I have not played it. I haven't downloaded.
Okay, well, let me give you a brief summary of why you will love this game. It is a 2D shoot-'em-up platformer with a 3D background. The idea of the game is that you don't work for the Americans or the Russians. You are a spy of Counter, Counter, for those of you who cannot spell. And you're a spy for Counter, and you have to infiltrate the States and the Russians simultaneously while finding out what their plans to launch this nuclear madness at the moon are. You have to stop this said madness, okay? So, you try to stop this. Now, the great part about this game, and the thing that just sold me on it instantly, as soon as you start the game, it says, warning, your experience will vary every single time. Because every time you play the game, through the game, the levels change and are different, and they're harder, or they're they have different enemies and do different things, and the level might not even look the same as it did the last time you played it. And it's crazy how it works. But the idea is you 2D platform, and you have to stealthily kill and infiltrate these bases for the Americans or the Russians. And you can go into like a quasi-first-person mode when you're ducked down. But the shooting mechanism is very Metal Gear Solid. A laser point with a little tiny circle that's perfect for headshots. And it just has that kind of vibe to it. And you can stealth kill. And you have to disarm different cameras and things of that nature. And then you can beat the game. And the cool thing is, you're playing these levels, and yeah, you could die, but every time you die, the DEF CON level drops one and gets closer to D-Day. And you're trying to prevent D-Day. So you want the DEF CON level at 5. If the DEF CON level is at 1, that is bad, because that means if you die, it starts an automatic countdown from 60 seconds wherever you are in the level. And you have to get to the end of the level and stop the countdown sequence. But you only have that 60 seconds. And sometimes you step into a level. You're in the second of 6 chambers. You get shot, and you only had 1 DEF CON, and you died. And now you have 60 seconds to travel through 4 separate chambers, and usually that's impossible. So you have to die. And it says, would you like to continue? And you say, yes, I would love to continue. and you continue a bunch, and then guess what happens? They say you don't earn points because you continued. You screwed yourself, haha.
Oh yeah. See, that's kind of interesting. And I heard about this game on a podcast that I was listening to yesterday, and I heard it was similar to a certain Xbox game that I cannot even recall what they said. It's not like the exact same, but no. This game did score pretty well, and it's just honestly, I've been really busy doing other stuff around the house. I've been the only game that I really have been playing is Persona, and I haven't even been putting as much time as I want to put in to that. But the other game that came out for PS Plus along with this was the remake of Oddworld.
Yeah, which I haven't downloaded yet. I will be doing that probably tomorrow. Actually, downloading that because I just beat Counter-Spy.
I definitely want to check out Counter-Spy. I really dig some of these cool like indie games that they've been hooking us up with, like Valiant Hearts and whatnot. I believe that was last month.
Oh, missed it.
And then in January, they also gave out the expansion for Infamous Second Son. It was First Light.
Oh, nice.
And then in December they did what, Injustice?
Yeah, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever had PlayStation Plus ever.
But it is good, especially if you own all three consoles. If you have a Vita, PS4, PS3, you're getting a really good deal.
Ah, sweet. That's actually excellent. Now, let's swerve these people. We've talked a little bit about games. We're going to be all over the place in this episode, folks. And we're just, a little over halfway here. Brandon, let's tell people in quick summary, because I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on this, but it is important to let people know what we are inspired by. What are some of the podcasts that my co-host Brando listens to? What do you jam out on when you're, cleaning your house, or you're making a doo-doo, or you're taking a shower, or you're cooking dinner?
Well, as I mentioned before, I heard about that game on a podcast, and that podcast was All Gen Gamers podcast. And I discovered that podcast about a couple years ago. And that was one of the podcasts that actually inspired me to, when you started one up and you wanted me on, I was like, yes, I definitely want to be on because it sounds like so much fun. But there's also a couple other ones that I've been listening to, like Podcast Beyond, which is the number one PlayStation podcast on the internet. The guys that they used to host Podcast Beyond have since left IGN, because that's what that podcast was a part of, and formed Kind of Funny. And they now have two separate podcasts. They have the regular Kind of Funny, or Game Over Greggy show from Kind of Funny, and then they have the Kind of Funny Games Cast, which is almost kind of like Podcast Beyond, but not Podcast Beyond.
Okay.
And then there's another one that I listen to called Completely Unnecessary, and that has Pat the NES Punk. And I believe the guy's name is Ian. Those guys sit around and they talk a lot of the, game, comic, wrestling news. They talk about all that stuff. But the only comic book podcast that I've really been into is Fat Man on Batman with Kevin Smith. I've really gotten into that show.
Well, and that's good that you said that, because I can go ahead and literally just speed right through this, because one of my favorite podcasts happens to also be Fat Man on Batman. So we can discuss that real quick here.
Oh, man. I first discovered the Fat Man on Batman. Basically, the guys from Kind of Funny were on Kevin Smith's Smodcast, which he has his own little podcast network. And so one of the shows that he does was Smodcast, and then he also does Fat Man on Batman, and he mentioned Fat Man on Batman on that show, and I'm like, oh, he's got a podcast all about Batman. So I checked it out, and one of the first episodes I checked out was the Mark Hamill episodes,
which has now been the most talked about podcast episode on our show.
Probably.
Ever.
And dude, those are great. And since then, I've gone on. I listened to all of the Bernardin episodes where they watch the Batman films and kind of commentate on them. I've listened to the Paul Dini episodes, which he was a writer for the Batman the Animated Series, and he's done comics and all that stuff. He's done quite a bit with a Batman character, and those are fantastic. If you ever want to hear a guy get so passionate about a story that he wrote for Batman that he starts crying as he talks about it,
Damn.
and he's won an Emmy for the Heart of Ice episode from the animated series. That was the one with Mr. Freeze,
That was one of the best episodes.
and that was the episode that kind of refocused the Mr. Freeze character and did something new with him and made him pretty much the Mr. Freeze that we now know. It's that from that one. I've a number of episodes on there. There's one with Tara Strong where she does the voice of Batgirl, as well as so many other voices are in cartoons. I guarantee you, Nate, you've heard her somewhere.
Okay.
And then he has an episode with the one and only Stan Lee, where pretty much they do talk about some of Stan Lee's early days, and just pretty much it's those two guys sitting around talking, and they talk about Stan's, kind of relationship with Bob Kane and whatnot, and how he began and how he got to know him. But that show is amazing, and it's very well done. It's very much a laid back podcast.
I'd say we take after some of the mannerisms and modes of the Fat Man on Batman because we just don't give a fuck.
Oh man, no, it's just laid back. Laid back. We got some stuff that we want to talk about, but at the end of the day, it's just two cats talking to each other about comics, games, and general buffoonery.
that's pretty self-explanatory. Am I right? That's all we do is we fool around, be goofy. That sounds wrong. We don't actually fool. Anyways, so just skipping right over that. There's only a few podcasts I'm currently listening to. I can honestly say it is really hard for me to focus on this show and multiple podcasts. So while I will check out various episodes of random podcasts here and there are only a couple that I'm quote-unquote married to. Fat Man on Batman definitely being one of them. I'm kind of hooked on the art of wrestling. I think Colt Cabana's got something really fun going on there.
His is a good podcast.
I honestly, I only listen to Colt Cabana right now because I know that as soon as I start Talk is Jericho, I'm done with Colt Cabana. No offense to Colt Cabana, but I like Jericho quite a bit. So I think he's going to win me over.
I go through periods of times where I'll listen to wrestling podcasts, and I listen to Stone Cold's podcast. I listen to Jericho's. I listen to JR's podcast, and Taz even has one now that's doing pretty well for itself.
Huh, sweet. And then obviously, as we learned last week, I am a huge fan of the Mad Scientist Party Hour. Definitely check those guys out. We had Shuddy Boy on here last week. It was a total blast to have him on, and I think he's going to be around more often, as me and him have discussed. He really enjoyed being on the show, so we'll see where that goes, which will be a lot of fun.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
So, Brandon, I told you there's this show on HBO, and I don't know how much I really told you. I just put the Jinx.
Yeah, and I've heard about it, but not much, so please fill me in.
I'm just going to give you everybody this brief overview of this dude who this documentary is about's life. And I'm going to give you details that lead all the way up and until this morning. And I'll tell you why that's crazy. So, real quick backstory. Robert Durst, a son of a realtor who owns 9 buildings in Times Square. They own 9 buildings in Times Square. So they are that kind of rich. Like, never need to worry about money ever, no matter what kind of rich. So in 1973, Robert Durst marries this lady, Kathleen Durst. They're married for 9 years, and in 1982, after going to one of her friend's house and telling them that if anything happens, that they would check it out, she miraculously goes missing. Now the husband, Robert Durst, plays it off like, hey, she went missing. Someone help me find my missing wife. And they're like, oh, dude, it's the 80s. Things were a little bit different when it came to quote-unquote missing persons, and especially in New York. Someone saying my wife is missing was, dude, you don't realize your wife probably left you for someone else. And we're not going to waste our resources on this quote-unquote missing persons case when you can't even prove, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You've just told us that there are arguments. You guys are fighting all the time, and you don't think she didn't leave. So she goes missing in 82. There's nothing really crazy going on. until 2000. And they decide that they're going to reinvestigate this case. They're going to open the case back up, and they're going to try to figure out what happened to Kathleen Durst. They're getting ready to interview a lady named Susan Berman, who happened to be friends with Robert Durst. She knows all of Robert's secrets. They're going to interview her. They're going to find out that he killed his wife, except for when they go to interview her, she's been shot in the back of the head. No forced entry. Someone she knew killed her. Kind of scary, a little bit random, whatever. Then things get even weirder. A year later, Robert Durst, to avoid the media, moves to Galveston, Texas. Yes, that's where Goebel is from, by the way.
Huh.
So this guy, Robert Durst, moves to Galveston, Texas, and it comes to light that he killed and dismembered his across-the-hall neighbor. Cut his neighbor into little bits, right? So I've told you all these things. Brandon and I just have one question. How long do you think his sentence has been?
His sentence?
Yeah.
Okay, well, because he's never actually been caught, right?
Exactly. He went to... Okay, let me just tell you. For the murder of Morris Black, that was his neighbor that lived across the hall, he was tried in a fair trial for murder, and they sentenced him not guilty. And here's the most fucked up part. He went into the courtroom and told them how he dismembered his friend. But he didn't shoot his friend. Him and his friend were wrestling, and the gun just happened to go off and kill the guy. And then, in some craziness, he decided that the smart move to do was to cut his friend up into little bits and throw him into the Gulf. But then it gets crazier because of the show, there is new evidence that's brought to light to this case of Susan Berman dying in L.A. And this yesterday evening or this morning, late last night or whatever, they officially just arrested Robert Durst for the murder of Susan Berman 15 years later because the documentary uncovered evidence while they were filming the documentary.
Wow.
And it's so captivating. If you like unsolved mystery or criminal stories of that nature, this is one to just wrap your head around. Because they interview the guy. Robert Durst is on the documentary talking, and he's telling his side of the story. And just to hear this guy and how cold and just chill he is about everything. It's very, very interesting to watch.
I guess you could argue that the documentary definitely jinxed him.
It's funny. That's actually been the headline people have been saying is like, oh, did the Jinx him and get him caught? But it's weird because I didn't know about this show, and the reason that him being caught is so crazy, the finale airs tonight.
Ah! Oh, that's great, man.
Isn't that wild? The night of the finale, he got busted officially.
So all of these detectives and the guys who are in charge, they're going to be like, okay, tune in HBO tonight. We're going to see what else we can uncover on this guy.
No, they've uncovered it all. I mean, it's...
Did they get like a... Did they get an advanced viewing?
No. Well, I think so, because, let me explain a little bit, and I'm not trying to spoil too much here. They find that the lady Susan Berman, all of her belongings end up going to her son. And he, one day, for some reason, decides that, hey, I'm going to go through and look for some letters that Mom said that he wrote her. And wouldn't you believe he finds a envelope that Robert Durst had written to his mother, not to Robert Durst's mother, to Susan Berman's son. So he had written this note to Susan Berman, and his handwriting and even the misspelling of Beverly Hills was identical. And this is where you're just going to go, this is unfucking real that this guy wasn't caught a long time ago. Susan Berman's body was found because whoever killed her took and wrote her address and the word cadaver, put it in an envelope, and sent it to the Beverly Hills police. The handwriting matches identical. And tonight's episode, they confront him with the evidence that they are 100% that they know for a fact he is the one that killed her, and he can't run from it now.
So the filmmakers, were they like looking into this case to try and like shed new light on it?
No, they were the filmmakers actually wrote a movie in 2006 called All Good Things, which was just about the disappearance of Kathleen Durst, and Ryan Gosling actually played Robert Durst. So it was kind of a, it was a Hollywood done movie. It didn't have a huge budget or didn't make tons of money. You've never probably heard of All Good Things, but so this guy Andrew Jarecki, the director, was like, "Oh, well, Robert Durst called me and wants to meet about this movie. What about an interview?" Robert Durst called the movie directors after he saw All Good Things and was like, "Hey, what would you guys think about interviewing and getting my side of the story for a documentary?" He pitched that idea to them, and then that is in turn what got him caught.
Wow.
I mean, you can't even make that up, Brando. You can't even make it up. It's so unbelievable. And if you want, sorry, general people listening, you'll have to find out how to watch this on your own. Brando, I can drop the first 5 episodes, or if you have HBO Go, you should be able to watch it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well then just fucking go watch it on HBO Go, man. I'm not going to waste my Dropbox time with that.
Yeah, dude, I'll definitely check that out. That's weird.
It's a dark, twisted, super fucked up. You can't even believe it. I mean, they've got film footage of in the courthouse in 2001 when he is calmly talking about dismembering his former across the hall roommate friend. And he's just like, yeah, I was just sitting there and, the gun had gone off and I can't, once someone is dead, you can't unkill them. They have died. You can't do anything. And it looked really bad and I knew I was scared and I had to get this body out of the apartment. So I thought, I'll go to the store and I'll buy a bow saw. And then he says, I came back to my apartment, I got really, really, really drunk and high, and proceeded to cut him up into little pieces. And he's just matter of fact about it, dude. It's kind of like it's kind of scary how calm he is. I mean,
yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I mean, he's definitely you've definitely like piqued my interest on this guy, and when you told me about it before we started, I actually I typed it in just so I would have something to look at, and the first thing that came up was that he was arrested. I'm like, I hope he talks about this because this makes the whole sort of like conversation about it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and here's a little fun fact: he was arrested last year as well, and the last year arrest is probably the funniest in the line of his arrests. Because he was arrested last year in Tennessee, I believe, for pissing all over candy inside of a CVS. He whipped his dick out, pissed on some candy at CVS, and then left. Like, are you kidding me right now?
To me, it almost sounds like he wants to be caught.
And when you watch, I didn't want to say anything, but when you watch the documentary, you'll get that sense even more than you know. Because of some of the choices and things that he chooses to do. You're just like, really? Are you are you sure? It's unreal, this guy and his gumption. He just thinks he can get away with it, and actually he's fighting charges. He said, I'm innocent. I didn't kill Susan Berman, and that's why he's not fighting. And this is just what he did in the 2001 trial of Morris Black. He didn't fight extradition. He's traveling back to LA right now to or he has traveled back to LA or is being carried to LA or however the fuck they do it once someone's arrested. He's not fighting the extradition. He's just going to go to LA, fight the charges, and he's almost certainly going to probably win, I guarantee you, even though they have him dead to rights. Because every time you think they have him dead to rights, and that's something else you'll learn, he just finds a way around it.
Now, you know what? I mean, if they do that, and I'm not involved in this investigation at all, but with what you've told me, with how they've said everything matches and they have a pretty legit thing, but then that jury oh well, he didn't commit murder.
Well, and I don't really want to explain how he got away with that because it's really interesting the way he got his lawyers to defend him. the argument that he comes up with of why he's not guilty of murder is fucking insane, and it works. And it just blows my mind. I'm just like, you couldn't make this up in a fucking Hollywood movie. The greatest writers of all time could not have come up with this dude's story. Oh, best part about his story, he kind of has trauma from being a child. Because when he was 7 years old, his mother killed herself, jumped off their roof. Gets better. 5 minutes before she jumped off the roof, his dad took him to the window and said, "Hey, look at mommy. Wave to mommy." And because he knew she was going to kill herself. So he took his son to see his mother for the last time, didn't tell him. He waves to mommy. He has no idea. And the next thing he knows, he hears a giant splat and the maid scream that she's off the roof.
Wow.
Yeah, super fucked up. So let's get away from this weird, dreary darkness. You guys should check out the Jinx, The Life and Death of Robert Durst. Or it's The Life and Deaths. The Life and Deaths with an S. The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst, which is a play on the title, for sure. Brando.
Yeah, dude. The last thing that I really wanted to talk about as far as topics go, and this was a huge bummer for me, as I'm sure you know, now that you've committed to, your console. I mean, some people have to commit to a console. They don't have enough money to buy every console out. But once you find one, you start looking forward to the games that are coming out, like the big headlining games, not just like your third-party stuff, but your first-party games. And for Sony, one of their big fall headliners just got pushed back.
No. Not one of. Probably the biggest.
It is.
Let's be for real about it.
It is. I mean, Uncharted is their bread and butter. It's just like God of War was for PS2.
Here's the crazy thing, though, Brando.
Yeah.
And I don't think you even remembered this. One of your earliest shows, I think it was the show that was right after one of the game expos that happened. Mm-hmm. You said yourself, it wouldn't surprise me if they push Uncharted to 2016. And then they did. Yeah.
And it does disappoint me, though, even though I said that. Because, it doesn't surprise me at all because they pushed back The Last of Us when they were working on that. And it does disappoint me because it makes me wonder what is Sony going to do to kind of make up for that, because they're going to be kind of like over encumbered with all these other great titles coming out from the other two major console makers. So they need something. But as far as Uncharted goes, pretty much what it is the two directors came out and said that, and I'm quoting here from them, "Since we showed you our first gameplay reveal of Uncharted 4 Thief's End, more of the game and story has come together, and it's clear to us that this game is much more ambitious than we originally envisioned." And pretty much they want to take their time and not rush it out, just because it's the holiday season. Right. And which, as an Uncharted fan, and as a Naughty Dog fan, I know that means we're going to get the best Uncharted that we're going to get. Because trying to force it out just for the holiday season means that it could possibly be a bit of a letdown. And that's something that Naughty Dog now, they can't afford to do that now, because especially since they made all the Uncharteds, then they made The Last of Us. And quite all honesty, in a long time, it's been a long time since Naughty Dog's made a bad game. I'm talking pre-Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
Because they had all the Crashes, and you had all the Jak and Daxters, and then you have the Uncharteds, and then The Last of Us. Every single one of those games was a huge game for the time period when it came out. And they're all quality titles. Especially, if you want to get into the last three titles that they put out, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, and then The Last of Us, they've all been top-notch titles. And The Last of Us did get delayed, and they said that was enough of a delay for them to put out the game that they wanted to put out, and that game's a masterpiece. So I'm okay with them pushing it back. It makes me wonder what Sony's going to do, because the guys over at Microsoft have got to be in glee over this, because now if they're still trying to push for a holiday release for Tomb Raider, now they go unopposed for the holiday season for Tomb Raider. which Tomb Raider is the reboot of Tomb Raider took a lot of inspiration from Uncharted, which Uncharted took a lot of inspiration from Tomb Raider, which is kind of funny about that. But it's got to be nothing but good news for those guys. I mean, because that just puts so far it kind of puts Sony out of the exclusive contention for unless they could come out. Things change, of course, but unless they reveal that, hey, we've got this game coming out. Hey, we've got this game coming out. This was the only big title that I can think of from Sony that was coming out in the fall that was going to be in the mix with Microsoft and Nintendo. With Nintendo, you had, of course, the big Zelda game coming out. With Microsoft, you have 3 big games coming out from them that go for different genres. Halo for your shooters, Tomb Raider for your action game, and Forza for your racing games. I mean, it's without Sony there, there's a hole, and the other guys are definitely going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, but you know Sony, and they are tricky. And one thing that you got to also think about, and I do, honestly, Sony kind of has a little bit of an unfair advantage because I don't know if you're going to be the same way, but I know I am. I'm buying Metal Gear Solid on PS4. Easy.
Oh,
There's not even a question.
Oh, dude, I have the collector's edition.
You officially
Pre-ordered.
got it pre-ordered. I'm still waiting for GameStop, man.
Yeah, I got it pre-ordered the moment it went up on Amazon. It was at 7:00 in the morning last week.
Sick. Hell
And
yeah.
dude, it was on Monday morning because me and our friend Nick, we were like texting each other updates about whether or not GameStop said they have it, whether or not Amazon had it up. And as soon as I saw that Amazon had it up, it was funny because when I pre-ordered it, they didn't have any information. They didn't have a picture up or anything. It was still that early. It wasn't even fully processed.
Damn. You know,
And then
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that the PS4 copy sold out within less than a day.
Damn.
And then the Xbox One, I don't know exactly how long, but I checked a few days later and they were sold out of that as well.
So, interesting that you bring up Nick, because that'll just help us segue to our final quasi-topic, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much just kind of a look into what we're doing here for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, because it is going to get a little bit hectic, kind of busy, so we'll get right down to it. Next week is going to be a Brando cast, if I'm not mistaken.
It will be. It'll be the first ever offshoot cast because you and me have talked about doing like a podcast that has a different topic than comics or video games. Of course, we've done that with Breaking Bad. And we've talked about doing that with other things. And there's been a discussion about doing it with music. And so this is going to be the first ever metal cast. It's going to be myself. It's going to be our friend Nick and our friend Blaine. So we're going to be sitting down here and talking about all things metal. And that could potentially lead into another episode, down the line where we can include you.
Yeah, because we've talked about doing a Metallicast sometime this year where we discuss arguably the greatest and the forefathers of the heavy metal scene, which was Metallica, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen, which is going to be exciting. So look forward to that next week. And then let's talk about WrestleMania Kill Ourselves weekend.
Oh, yeah, dude. Okay, so Nate is officially coming down here, and we are going to be we're going to be doing some podcasts. Now, normally we don't have like a lot of podcasts saved up to like put out. We're normally pretty much on the ball as far as getting together every week or doing a solo cast where it's usually current and topical. But for example, back in October we got together and we did an extra episode that we aired for Christmas and we called it Holiday Bullshit. And we're going to be getting together along with Nick and my friend Mike, they were both on our Brando cast. I want to say that was in the end of December.
Yeah, I think so.
And so those guys are going to be joining us, and we're going to be doing a topics cast where we all have a couple of topics apiece, and so it's kind of like a roundtable discussion. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing for our first take at a commentary track for a film, which that's going to be real exciting.
Hell yeah.
I cannot wait to try that. And the film that we have decided to do is what, Nate?
We're going to do the Tobey Maguire 2001 Spider-Man, which I have a really soft spot for. Or it's actually 2002. Trailers were 2001 and then 9/11. That's how I always remember when that movie came out, was 2002. So we're doing 2002 Spider-Man. That's with Willem Dafoe, Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, however the fuck you say it, James Franco, all this cast. Macy Gray is in the movie. Stan Lee is in the movie. But we're going to be doing a riff track to that where we commentate over the top of the movie. We'll find a way to help sync it up with you guys where we can, give you a visual or an audible. I guess it's an audible cue.
Yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
will let you know that this is when you start the podcast in correlation to the movie, and if you want to listen to what we think about the movie while the movie is being played, you do so, and it's usually a lot of fun. And even if you just want to listen to us talk about Amazing Spider-Man, and it's kind of random, if you know the movie well enough, you might not have to watch it.
Well, I mean, it's something that I've heard other people do before, and I kind of want to do our take on it. Especially with projects like, I think Spider-Man is really topical right now, especially what's going on with Marvel, and I really want to go back and relook at those early Spider-Man films because that's something else that I kind of want to talk about when we talk about that is even it hasn't felt like it's been that long ago, but how well does it hold up still? So I want to look at those three films, and we can also extend it to doing other comic related films or even like some of our favorite non-comic related films as well.
I vote either Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs.
We can do both.
Okay.
I'm down with that.
Fine.
But but we're also going to be doing some other stuff. We're going to be doing a video for YouTube, which we may also include on the podcast. We're not really too sure about that. We have to look into logistics. But one of the videos we're going to be doing with our friends Mike and Nick, we're going to be doing a taste test type thing where we get burgers from the major four chains of burgers, and we're going to be doing a blind taste test. So that's going to be a video going up on our YouTube channel, something else besides game pickup videos, which is all I've been doing lately. And then we're also going to be trying out some other things. We're going to try and get Nate set up to make his comic videos. We're going to try and do some reaction videos because that weekend, not only are we getting together and doing all of the stuff that we've said that we're doing, but it's also Wrestlemania
and
the Walking Dead finale.
The Walking Dead finale. The same goddamn night.
Oh, I know. So we are talking about getting together really quick after those, doing a YouTube video reaction. So we'll put it up on the YouTube channel, and I guess now's a good time to kind of plug that. It's Journey into Comics on YouTube. I post video game pickups, kind of showcase my collection. Nate's going to start doing some of his own stuff for his collection, and we're going to do videos like this whenever we can get together, where we talk about what just happened. Do our reactions to quick reactions. WrestleMania's over. Here's what we thought about it. Walking Dead just ended. Here's what we thought about it. We want to do that, and we want to do some other kind of cool stuff along the way.
I'm sure you'll be able to see at some point I'll do Arrow and Flash season finale rapid reactions. We'll also be doing, Brandon, this is just me riffing so I don't forget. I would really, really like to do Pop Talk, where we talk about pop vinyls, because that is something that I do love, is the pop vinyls. I might, and actually that is a definite, I will be posting the pop vinyl wall that I have on our Instagram page tonight, which you can find that at Journey into Comics on Instagram.
Dude, I tell you what, we're all about the smooth plugs tonight.
It kind of worked out that way. Usually we have to do kind of the hard plug for what people check us out on the various social medias, but tonight it's just it's kind of rolling there, and I figure it's a good place for people to see how many or how 94 pop vinyls on one singular wall looks, because it's kind of impressive. I mean, it's wild because it's just like, whoa. I have so many things.
You have gone pop crazy, and I have two.
Pops are amazing, man. And, honestly, how many do you have now?
I just said I have two.
Oh, you have two. I thought you were saying I have two, as in I have also gone crazy. I was like, oh, you're collecting Pops. That's amazing.
I mean, I kind of do, but...
Hold on. Do you have Commander Shepard and Goku?
Super Saiyan Goku, yes.
Hell yeah.
And I actually, now that I have... I want to get the whole sets of those, now that I have those. And I now see the folly, if you will,
of collecting them.
Of even buying one of them, because now you want to have all of them.
Exactly. It's the worst. Oh, and and in my Pop Talk videos, because we're not staying off topic here, we're going to try to stay on topic. In my Pop Talk videos, one thing I will talk about is some of the rare collectible pops that I have that are worth massive amounts of money, and then at the same token, some of the ones that I skipped down on, thinking they wouldn't be rare, and holy shit, are they? I.e. the White Power Ranger.
Oh, really? He's pretty rare, huh?
He's like a $230 pop now.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So, I mean, the pop vinyls are ultra collectible. One thing I think people love about them more than anything is you can take it out of its package and put it back, and it looks like you never opened it.
Yeah. When I first got my Shepherd, I did take him out to kind of get a look at him and Yeah, I just put him right back in, and it doesn't really you don't rip anything.
No,
as long as you're
there are
careful.
no crazy stickers or shit that's gonna ruin it. So
Yeah.
But Brandon, we got an exciting month, and you're going to be hearing lots of various content from Journey into Comics. Like we've said, check us out on all our various spots. I know we don't post nearly as much as we should, but both of us are very busy, and the prime focus here is not about social media. It's all about what we do right here on the show. So if you can check us out on the social medias, we'll appreciate it, and if you don't, well, so be it. But Brandon, do you have anything else you want to go on, man?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I think we hit on everything that we need to hit on, and I'm looking forward to the Metal Cast. I'm looking forward to Topics Cast. I'm looking forward to Taste Test. I'm looking forward to Riff Track. I'm looking forward to just hanging out with you, bro, because it's been a while since we've actually just sat back and hung out.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun and busy-filled weekend of a lot ofness. And I'm going to be bringing stuff down. People are going to finally get to see our banner. We have a banner. You're going to see it on our YouTube channel. We're excited. Brandon and I are going to probably be making shit ton more videos than what we even said here because I know us, and I know we'll be like, hey, bring this. Don't forget this. We can do this. Fuck yeah, we will.
Yeah, hey, let's try this out. Yeah.
So, for now, because in the words of me, fuck it, it happens. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a very fun-filled, relaxing, I hope, episode of Journey into Comics. As always, I'm your host, Nate Phillips.
And I'm your co-host, Brando.
You're the best, man.
Oh, please, stop.
Hey, I'm just saying that,
I'm Batman.
You don't know about that, but you'll hear it if you listen to this episode. Later, folks.
Later.